te encontrar. Menina que vem de lá, sonhando com esse lugar. O sol nesse coração, eu corro pra te encontrar. Menina que vem de lá, sonhando com esse lugar. O sol nesse coração, eu corro pra te encontrar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Theory Thursdays. I am Max Wild, your host. I'm here at 343 Labs Studio in Berlin, and really happy to be here. This is my weekly show as part of 343 Labs. For those of you joining for the first time, we do 343 TV show. We do this every day at 1 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. European time, Central European time. And on Thursdays, there's actually two shows because there's another show at 7 p.m. Eastern with TAETRO, our creative director and YouTuber, influencer, great producer. So that'll be tonight at 7 p.m. And today I am going to be covering modes. So let's see who we have in the chat. Andrew Duke, the usual culprit. What's up, Andrew? Nice to see you again. Our most loyal follower here on 343 TV. Nefertiti, how's it going? Nice to see you. CJ, how's it going? Aloha. So why don't you all type in the chat and let me know where you're calling from. It's really interesting to see so many people from all over the world. We've actually had literally people from all over the world joining us. I'm in Berlin. Andrew is in Halifax, in Canada. What time is it in Berlin? It is 7:04. We're 6 hours ahead of you guys. CHDB, how's it going? Nice to see you again. Okay, cool. You guys, theory is one of those subjects which is like, it's kind of dry. It's like not everyone's favorite. When I think of theory, I think of like your parents take you to your piano lesson, and this like really old person teaches you the piano and scales and stuff. I don't know. It's like it has a bad rap, but it actually it can be really fun. Another guy I want to praise while we're here, while we're on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch, is Andrew Huang, because he is an amazing producer and musician, all-around musician, and he really knows his music theory as well. He was classically trained, and you can really tell. And he's also put out some great tutorials on his channel, which is obviously huge. So I'm a big fan of Andrew's, and he really knows his music theory, and he makes it fun. So what I'm going to try to do is also kind of try to make it fun and relevant. Let's see who else joined us. So Lars, hey, from where? Belfort. Oh, hey, it's from, okay. That's so cool. From La Belfort. A good friend of mine, yes, from a really cool cafe. If you ever make it to Berlin, you've got to go to the Belfort in Prenzlauer Berg. My friend Julian here in the chat. Cool. He's about to get into some music theory with us. So without further ado, today we're going to do modes. Now let's just talk about what modes are. So simply put, a mode is a scale. Okay. Now modes actually started way before Western harmony was at the point where it was today. Meaning major and minor. Okay, so these days, or now, the way that Western harmony has developed, we the way that we hear music is we're in a key which is either in major or in minor. If we move over to the piano, we've got our major, right? And then we've got our minor. Okay. Now, we didn't always have that. We had, in fact, we didn't even have harmony. Okay. So way back with the Greeks and the Gregorian chants and all that, we had scales. Okay. And everything was based on a certain scale, and it was all melody. Okay. So there was no harmony, it was melody. And the types of scales were called modes, all right? And that's why also quite often they're called church modes, because, you know, music was religious and and you would sing songs in church, and everything was monophonic, meaning it was just melody. And so let's just go over what these modes are. So these church modes or modes. Now, also before I forget, you know, we want this to be interactive. Oh, TAETRO is in the chat. Snap. Okay, hot off the press. Oh, Robert Babbage on the TAETRO Talks show. 2 hours, not to be missed. Oh my goodness. An early show. Oh, in 2 hours. Okay, cool. So in 2 hours, that will make that 3 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Berlin time. That is super cool. We're really happy to have Robert Babbage. He's a super dope producer and musician. So definitely go check that out right here on 343 TV, or you can actually head over to TAETRO's channel as well. CJ, yep, saying, uh-oh, TAETRO. Andrew, yep. Oh, don't make TAETRO feel too important. He's already high enough on his little pedestal. Nacho in the house, calling me nerdy. Well, I wanna see him do some music theory. Okay, so back to it. Let's check out some of these modes. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. So if there's like, you know, I had this question about modes, and I've almost always wanted to know. So here we go. Let's break it down. Now, the way that I think most of us learnt modes at some point is, well, here's the major scale, right? C major. And that, in fact, is called the Ionian Mode. Now, if you start that same scale on D, you have the Dorian Mode. And it sounds minor because the first, third, and fifth note form a minor triad, all right? Whereas on the C Ionian or C major mode, it sounds major. It gives you more of a majorish feeling because it has a major triad on the first, third, and fifth note. Nacho is being silly. On the third mode is the Phrygian mode. Now these all have weird, funky names. In fact, they make great band names. So if you're ever looking for a dope band name, just pick a mode like the Phrygians, right? Now that's a very dark sound and a minorish sound because the first, third, and fifth are a minor triad. Then we have the Lydian, and that's a very bright sound. And that's major. Okay? And for those jazz heads, now we use modes a lot in jazz. It has a sharp 4 right here, because normally the F major scale would have a B flat, but this has a B natural. Okay, now we have G Mixolydian. And that is like our very jazzy mode, because it gives us the G dominant chord. G dominant 7th, right? Right? So That's the G Mixolydian. Now the mode on A is the Aeolian mode. We actually know that one very well because it's the same as the A minor or the A natural minor, okay, if you want to be precise. And then last but not least, we have the Locrian mode, which is the darkest. And that is a diminished mode. Okay, so I want to know from you guys, which mode is your favorite? Okay, and in a minute we're gonna try to make a melody with a particular mode. So drop in the chat what mode is your favorite. Also, just wanted to talk a little bit about 343 Labs. First of all, we're really excited because we're opening a school in Berlin. So that's really cool. We actually have our first classes starting this weekend, which is, our Ableton Live Make Your First Track course, which is kind of for people just starting out with music production, and then a 2-day workshop. We have a bunch of classes online in our online school starting next week as well. So just head to 343labs.com. And we are actually really excited that we can finally open back up our New York location, taking all the necessary precautions. We're partnered with Scratch DJ Academy, and they've been really helpful. We're making sure that all the necessary safety precautions are met, and we're only going to be operating at half the capacity to make sure that we can kind of keep all those safety checks in place. So check out 343labs.com or 343labs.de for the German courses. So let's see. Let's go with, I'm going to show you my, here we go. So I prepared a little something here. I'm going to write out, I'm going to show you what I just played basically. Okay. So let's get started with let's say 4-bar. Make this 4 bars long and make these quarter notes. So let's start with C Ionian. So this is what I showed you. So as we know, a major scale or C Ionian, the formula is, sorry, let me just make sure that everything is good here on my, getting some text messages. Okay, nothing. I'm still on air. Good. So Ionian formula is a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That is our C Ionian. Let's add a little beat. So let's call that Ionian. All right, now if I duplicate that and I'm going to call this Dorian, I get the Dorian just by moving this over to the second note, starting my scale on D and finishing on D. Oh. So that's my D Dorian. Just start on the second note, okay? I'm going to just continue this, get to, and this is how you spell Phrygian, okay? I always mess this up. Phrygian. I hope that's correct. So the Phrygian starts on the third note and finishes on the third note. So here we go. It's my Phrygian. And here's my Lydian. Lydian, I'm going to start on the fourth note, which is F. And I'm going to go one note higher. to F. Get a fix. Wait, what happened to episode 5? Get a fix. I don't know what happened to episode 5. I'm not on top of the numbering, but let's look into that. CJ, I'm here again with my producer account. I don't know what that means. CJ says, I want to see TAETRO 2, but it's too late here. CJ, CJ, where are you calling from? So the TAETRO show today is actually going to be earlier. It's going to be 2 hours earlier. So it's going to be at 3 p.m. Central Time. 3 p.m. New York time, which is Eastern Time. All right, let's continue. Let's get on with Mixolydian. And Mixolydian starts on the 5th note. I promise we're going to make some music in a second, but it's important to understand the theory. There's my Mixolydian. Here is my Aeolian, starting on the 6th note. And then let's jump to Locrian. And that is that's the darkest scale. That's the 7th degree. Okay, so those are our modes: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. A mouthful. Now, a lot of people, so these are all using just the white keys, right? Because they're all coming from the same scale, which is C major. Now, a lot of people always use just modes that use the white keys, which is fine, okay? For example, in electronic music, you use C major a lot and you use A minor a lot because, quite frankly, it's easy to play because it's just the white keys. But what if you wanted to, not always be using just the white keys? So it's helpful to be able to play the modes in different keys. In fact, what would it look like if I could play all the modes starting on C, so that we could compare them and that they're not kind of all over the place? So if I have, here we go. If I have these and they're all starting on different notes, it's kind of hard to compare them. And like if I want to do Phrygian, I don't always want to have to do E Phrygian just because it's white keys, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and call this modes on C. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose these so that they all start on the note C. So I'm going to select them and just move them down to C. And now I have Dorian, but it's C Dorian. Whoa, that is a cool sound. All right, if you really hate someone, play them that in the middle of the night. There's our C Dorian. All right, I'm going to do the same with the Phrygian. I'm going to select the whole thing, bring it down to C. And there's my Phrygian, C Phrygian. All right, Lydian, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, you can see here that's a very bright mode. And Mixolydian, same thing. Now that has, as you can see, what I like to do is I like to compare it to the major scale. In fact, if you hit fold, you will see exactly what notes are being used, and you can see it's all white notes except for the 7th note, which is an A sharp. Really, it's a B flat, but here it's expressed as an A sharp. So the 7th note is lowered by a half step, which makes it a little bit darker, but it's still considered a major mode. All right. Let's check out Aeolian. So let's turn that into a C Aeolian. Oh, and I messed that up because I shouldn't have transposed that while being in the fold mode. There we go. Now, if you watched my very first episode and we talked about relative and parallel minor, you know that to get to the parallel minor, you're going to the minor that starts on the same root or the same note. So if you're going from C major, you go to C minor. So that's exactly what this is right now. And you would have also known that to get to C minor, the parallel minor, you lower the third, 6th, and 7th note. And that's exactly what we did here. We lowered the E to an E flat or a C sharp, D sharp. We lowered the 6th note from an A to a G sharp, and lowered the 7th note from a B to an A sharp or B flat. Sounds like this. Yeah. And last but not least, we've got Locrian. So let's select all these and bring them, just bring them up a step to C. That'll be the easiest. And that is our darkest because our 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th note have all been lowered by a half step. So now we have all these modes starting on C. So now we can really compare apples to apples, not, apples to bananas. Now nobody has let me know what mode they want to get started with, so I'm still waiting for that. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to drop in some, let's come up with a little chord progression. So as I pointed out, these modes are all either major or minor, except for the 7th one, which is actually diminished, all right, the Locrian. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to record a chord progression in minor. I'm not even going to record a chord progression. I'm just going to record a C minor triad. So here we go. Very simple C minor triad. Alright, now I'm going to just record a C major triad. And let's just call this C minor and C major. And now just to make it complete, let's do a diminished. All right, and Nefertiti got back to me. Phrygian, yes. Oh, Roller 8. Regine, what's up? I think you're Roller 8. But if not, let me know. Phrygian, yes, we all like Phrygian. Cool. I actually also am a big fan of Phrygian. So yes, why don't we do a melody in Phrygian right after this. So first of all, let's identify the major modes. So the major modes, why don't we make them a different color? Let's make them yellow for bright and happy. So the major modes, and again, the way that I'm figuring out it's a major mode is just by checking to see if the first, third, and fifth note equal a major triad. And they do, because C to E is 4 half steps, and E to G is 3 half steps. Remember the bear, right? The bear is happy when, well, we won't tell the whole story now, but 7 scoops of honey, and then he takes out 3, and he's still happy because there's 4 left. If you missed that, go back to episode number 1. Yeah, so that's a major mode. Dorian is minor because we have a minor third from the first to the third note, and then going from here, from the third note to the fifth is actually a major third, but it's 3 half steps and then 4 half steps, which makes it minor. So let's keep that blue like minor. Phrygian is also minor. C to D sharp, really that's E flat, is a minor third, and then G completes the C minor triad. So let's keep that blue. Then Lydian mode. All right, we've got C, E, G. That's definitely major, right? So make that right. Then we head over to Mixolydian, and we've got C, E, G. Same thing. It's also major mode. Right. And Aeolian is, well, we said that this is the same as the C parallel minor, so it's minor, or the C natural minor scale. So, and we can see it's a C minor triad. So keep that blue, and then finally we have a C, D sharp or E flat, F sharp or G flat, which is our tritone. The devil's interval, all right, because that type of dissonance was not tolerated by the church, so you were not supposed to play it, and it was named the devil's interval. Also, fun fact, going from C to F sharp is 6, and then if you go up another 6 half steps, you get to the octave. So you have 6, 6, and then you can go up 6 again to the next tritone, and you have 6, 6, 6. Whoa. So if you're living in the Middle Ages, you don't want to be playing that interval, the tritone. Anyway, that is a diminished. So why don't we make that even darker than blue? Why don't we make it like dark blue? All right, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to match these. I've got a C major, my Lydian. I don't have to match them. Let's just play them together. So I've got a Ionian playing with major. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's minor. So why don't we make these match? I always love matching, so. And this is diminished, right? Just to keep things straight. So C major, oh, I messed it up. C major is yellow. Oh, that's the wrong blue. I'm OCD, sorry. All right, let's try it again. Yes, so the chords work with the mode. Yes. Now we've got Dorian, and it's a minor, so it should work with a minor mode, minor chord. All right, so what do we learn from this? This is really important. We learn that every mode is either major or minor, or it could be diminished. And that helps us kind of write a melody, because if we're in a minor key, we can now pick any of the minor modes to write a melody. If we're in a major key, we can use any of the major modes to write a melody, and it gives us a different color, right? If you think about just being able, if you're in major and you only have the major scale, that kind of limits you to just one scale, the major scale. If you're in minor, you just know the minor scale, well, that limits you to just the minor scale. But now imagine you can kind of slightly change the color by, instead of using the regular minor scale, you use Dorian or Phrygian, all right? Aeolian is the regular minor scale, the natural minor scale. And instead of just using major every time you have a major chord, or you're in a major key, you can use Lydian or experiment with Mixolydian, okay? So that just gives you way more options. And you'll hear that they each have a slightly different color. Even though they work in major or minor, they have a slightly different color. So for example, listen to Dorian. And now listen to Aeolian, which is our regular minor scale. So the difference there is that the sixth note in the Aeolian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is flattened, whereas in the Dorian, the sixth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is not flattened. It's a regular A. So it's a bit brighter, all right? So the Dorian is a little bit brighter than the Aeolian. Now let's check out the Phrygian, which is the third minor mode. So here, this is the darkest of the minor modes. The second note is flattened. All right, so the second note is flattened. The third is obviously flattened. The sixth and the seventh note are also flattened. So these are our minor modes: Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian. Let's head over to major. So obviously C major is going to work over our C major triad, C major key. Then Lydian's going to work, and that is going to have a sharp 4. All right, so this, normally this would be F, but this F is raised in Lydian, making, we call it a sharp 4, or I'm going to get really fancy, sharp 11. So that makes it kind of brighter than the major. I would say that's the brightest mode of all of them. And then we have Mixolydian. All right, and that one is, Mixolydian is kind of jazzy, okay? It's kind of, that's got that dominant sound. Let me just play a little here. All right, so dominant sound, and then finally we have our, this is diminished triad. And actually, let me just drop this an octave. All right, and that's our Locrian, our darkest, which, you know, works over a diminished chord. So Nephthenian Roller 8 asking for Phrygian. Okay, cool. So let's make a melody using Phrygian. So first of all, we're going to check out, you know, what key would Phrygian work for, and as we can tell, it is minor. So we're gonna make a minor chord progression. We now know that it's minor. Now, if the chord progression is just C, it might get a little boring, okay? So let's add one more chord. Let's make this 4 bars. And let's add a second chord to this. And now you've got to be careful. The notes to the second chord need to be in the C Phrygian, using notes from the C Phrygian scale, because otherwise you're gonna get a clash. All right, so using the notes of the C Phrygian scale, let's see, could we, if I just go up the keyboard here, here's my the first chord. Obviously I can use C minor. Then the second chord is this. So it's actually kind of weird. It's like you wouldn't expect it, but it's D flat major. So I could use. Okay, but I'm not gonna go there because I kind of want that minorish sound. So I'm probably gonna go for a minor chord, or maybe, what would the next chord be? That's D flat, and then the next chord would be another major chord, E flat. So I could go, let's try that real quick. Yeah, that sounds, you see, that sounds too happy to me, okay? Andrew Duke is saying, TAETRO show today will start in literally 1 hour and 20 minutes. That is correct. Yes, so please stick around for that. E flat, I'm not feeling that. I want something minor. So how about from the 4th? Ooh, yeah. So the 4th is minor, and then the 5th is also minor. Then we get to another major, and then, ooh, I really like that. So how about I go to B flat minor, because B flat minor has all notes from the C Phrygian scale. If you don't believe me, just check it out yourself. Phrygian. If I fold these notes, you'll see I have a C sharp or a D flat. I've got that A sharp or B flat, and I've got the F. All right, and those are the notes that I need for my B flat minor chord. Let me just play these in legato. So I'm just gonna hit legato. See, I've got that minorish vibe. You know what? I'm actually feeling an arpeggiator here. Let me duplicate this. I'm going to throw a different instrument on here. I'm going to throw a operator on here. Where's my operator at? Okay, cool. Let's make a little pluck sound. And let's put an arpeggiator on this. So MIDI effects, arpeggiate, and let's see what this. Oh, sorry, I wasn't showing you what I was doing. Here we go. There's my arpeggiator. And let's move that to, well, let's see what that sounds like. really low, right? So let's move that up an octave. And let's actually just fiddle with that a bit. All right, now I'm feeling that that arpeggiated vibe, Phrygian vibe. So now let's see what that scale sounds like. Cool, sounds good, right? So now it's time for melody making. Let's just drop a melody. We can use the piano, right? So let's use the piano sound for that. So we can only use these notes. Flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and 1. Okay, this arpeggiator is a little too bright for me. Let me just darken that. Cool, now let's get to some melody making. And you know what? I kind of want a... I don't want to use the piano. I want to use a different sound. Sorry, I'm doing more like, I guess, sound design, but sound design is important. So, let's make a lead sound. Let's try something a bit brighter. So it's very bright. All right, and let's put in, let's put a... All right, I think we need a lot of reverb on this. So, reverb. Make that pretty big. We gotta make it spooky. Spooky. Let's get a little echo going. I guess we can just use the return on that. Make that brighter. throw an amp on there. By the way, guys, if you have any questions about anything I'm doing, just let me know. And thanks, guys, for hanging out. This is really cool. Usually modes are super, dry, but thanks for sticking through this. Let's put an amp on here. Sounds good to me. Alright, let's check out the chords. With the chord progression. So when you're doing Phrygian, you really want to accent that half step, right? So let's try to come up with a melodic idea that accents that half step. So let's just jam on that for a second. 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's see if we like anything here. You know what? What happens if I take this up an octave? It's not dark enough. All right, cool. So that I could tweak that. I could mess around with that and try to make an even better melody with that. But I wanted to show you how to make a majorish melody. So let's do that before we wrap up. Why don't we use one of the all right, chat, which major mode would you like me to make a melody with? Let's not use Ionian. So would you prefer Lydian or would you prefer Mixolydian? Okay, so Lydian is going to be the brightest and Mixolydian is going to be a bit more jazzy, bluesy kind of. So let me know in the chat, Lydian or Mixolydian. And while you guys are doing that, tomorrow we actually have a new show. So those of you that have been watching this, last week we launched a couple new shows which you all have to check out. We launched Logic the Logic show on Wednesdays with Justin Beck, although yesterday it was dolltr that covered for Justin. Tomorrow on Fridays we have Abe doing the Hardware Basics show, so you definitely have to check that out. Abe has all these amazing hardware synths and drum machines in his studio, and he's basically going to show you all of them in his show. So tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, tune in for the Basics show. And then the third show we have is on Saturdays, which is Feedback Saturdays with Atropolis. All right. So if you want to have your track played and get some feedback on it, that's your perfect moment. Drop by the Feedback show on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. European Central Time, and have your track played and get some feedback from Atropolis, another one of our great instructors and Ableton Certified Trainer. So and then Mondays, of course, we're continuing with dolltr tips and tricks, and Tuesdays with Taco Tuesdays. Just kidding, Techno Tuesdays with John Selway. So there you have it. That's 343 TV. Okay. Nefertiti is asking for Lydian. Bharat Jam, what's up? Not a major mode, but could you please touch up on double harmonic? Okay. We could definitely look into that on another stream. But since we only have a couple minutes left, not today, but maybe in one of the coming episodes. Andrew Duke at 343 definitely will be, I guess, back. Cool. Wait, so Rashane, hey, what's up, Rashane? Rashane wants Mixolydian, and Nefertiti is asking for Lydian. You know what? I'm gonna go with Lydian. Just because it has a very bright sound and I kind of like it a lot. So here we go. Here's Lydian. Oh, that's cool. Let's come up with a progression real quick. So let's bring that up an octave first of all to make it brighter. And make it 4 bars. And in fact, why don't we add the 7th? Because Lydian sounds great using 7th chords. Let's just add the major 7 to this, which would be a B. And then let's go to F. Cool, I like it. And let's copy that over to our operator. Sounds pretty nice. All right, and our notes are... Let's try to come up with a slightly different sound here. Get rid of the amp and the reverb. Make this a bit brighter, so... Turn this into sine wave. Does that see Lydian? You know what? I just figured that the F actually doesn't work. we have to go to G. Because the F is not in the C Lydian scale. And that sound is just a little not chill enough, so. Let's make this shorter. It's too short. A long release. Let's open it up. And let's add some echo. There we go. Some reverb. There we go. Let's try that. Sounds kind of cool. It's not a melody, but it's chords. Try it one more time. See what that sounds like. And let us quantize that real quick. You know what? That's not. All right. So again, I could probably spend a bit longer refining a melody that works over the C Lydian, but what you could tell is that C Lydian, or Lydian in general, is a very bright mode. Okay, and I hope you were able to hear that. So modes, just to recap, because we're kind of coming to the end of our stream. Modes, to recap, are a really great way to stay within the key, but just change the color by changing, basically going to a different scale. So a mode is like a scale. Just go into a different scale with a different color that still fits over those chords or that key, be it major or minor. And I encourage you guys to kind of explore modes and check them out, experiment with them, have fun with them, and yeah, I hope you, I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. I encourage you to come back for more theory on Thursdays, and yeah, check out our courses, check out our classes, starting all the time. Next week we've got a bunch of classes. We've got an Ableton class starting. We just had a Logic class start. We've got vocal production, synthesis. We've got mixing and mastering, a songwriting, a more advanced Ableton class as well. We've got immersives starting in August, so Ableton immersives. A lot of stuff are happening. And then we're opening our New York school, so there's that as well, if you want to take in-person classes with us. Yeah, so stick around. In an hour from now, it'll be TAETRO Talks right here. And yeah, don't miss him. He's going to be on with, one second, where is TAETRO? Yeah, so he's going to be on with Robert Babbage. That's right. So stick around for that. That's going to be awesome. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.